Welcome to Around the ECHL. We do this every Tuesday. We go around the league. We talk about the upcoming teams that we're going to be facing. Sometimes we have the visiting broadcaster, maybe the president from that team. Today we talk to a guy who's always searching around the ECHL, comes up with all those great nuggets. As a matter of fact, he's got a site that you may have seen, ECHL Stats, which is fabulous. The one and only Barry Janssen, who it was good to see you for the first time, Barry, in a long time last week. And I know it's got to feel good for you to get out of the house and get back around the rink.
Yep, it's nice. Got the second shot in a couple of weeks ago and was disappointed. I was planning on coming to my first game until they were postponed this week because of the weather.
It's kind of been the story this year. It's like not just in the ECHL, it's any sport. You got to look at the schedule each night to see which games have been postponed, whether it's college basketball or hockey or the NBA. And I hate to say I'm getting used to it, but especially for a guy who plays fantasy sports like I do. I'm in Asset Chuck's Fantasy Hockey League, and it's bit me a couple times this year where I didn't check the day before or that evening to see if a team was playing. Their games had already been postponed, and I had guys in my lineup that cost me a win. This week I'm playing Asset Chuck, if anybody cares, in fantasy hockey, and I want to win in the worst way.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I just posted before you just called to see if I could do this Zoom call. And I had just posted my blog for the day. And the title of my blog is Famine to Feast to Famine. Just talking about the last week, because it was just a week ago, Marty called me. He says, I only got 12 skaters. Between call-ups and healthy skaters, I only have 12. Then he went down to Austin, picked up the 5 guys, Register and Baloo come back, and and then he tells me Mazur's coming as well. And I said, oh my gosh, you got way too many guys. He says, oh no, Ottenbright's going to down to Austin, and we got a bunch of guys on the COVID protocol. So he says, we're still going to Greenville, but we're going to be short. So you think that, and then the temperature today is supposed to be in the mid 70s here. And a week ago, we had the 3 coldest days on record. So talk about fluctuations, both with the weather and with the roster. It's amazing. And, you just appreciate what, especially at the ECHL level, what Martinson has to go through in terms of got too many guys this week, not enough guys this week. They get called up, they get sick, they get injured, and he just has to work it all the time.
I was thinking back, Barry, over the years, how many games we've had canceled due to weather or crazy situations, and it's been very, very few. I think back to a game against the Brahmas where they didn't want to come across town because they said the roads were too bad, 121 was too bad. And I remember that day, it was a Friday afternoon, and, we were in the office. All right, we have no game tonight. What are we going to do? So we went out in front of the arena, the entire staff, to see who could build the best snowman. It's crazy just to think about this year, how many games alone have been postponed. And you can go back for the previous 11 and look and you count on one hand how many games have been postponed due to, a bus not being able to make it here, or the occasional, snowstorm here in DFW. It's been very, very rare. It continues on. We hoped when we turned the page from 2020 to 2021 that things would get better, and maybe they are. Well, 2021 is just upon us now. So obviously you've gotten the shot and, feeling more comfortable to come around the rink. So maybe as we cruise on through 2021, we'll get even better. And my hope is that someday, not just myself, but all broadcasters return to the road, because it really is a challenge this year to try and call the games from your home arena, not because of, anything in particular, but just because of, obviously we don't have the, the camera views that they would maybe even in the NHL, where these guys are calling the game from home and they've got 20 producers and everybody feeding them information. And, I think about, my buddy Jason Mal's in Wichita, who was one of the first to experience this, and him telling me what a nightmare it was by the time the game was finally over. So it is what it is, right? You gotta fight on through it. And I think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I really have a lot of respect for all of you broadcasters, because I haven't been coming to the games. I've been watching the home games and the away games on actually in my iPad. And I'm just amazed at how you guys can call it from watching on TV. And I'll switch back and forth from the home to the visitor. And it isn't much of a difference when you hear the call. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, to actually see who it was and that. And you've pointed out several times, one of the big disadvantages of calling it off of a screen is the camera isn't always on the play. I mean, there's so much going on away from the camera shot that
Right.
you miss out on. But you guys are doing a great job.
Well, thank you, Barry, and so are you. We're glad you're back. Obviously, we appreciate all you do. And like I said, it was great to see you in the office this last week, and how great you look. I know you spent a lot of time during the pandemic working on your personal health and, in fitness and riding your bike every morning. I can't imagine you were riding in the snow and ice last week, but how much do you continue now to get out there each morning and continue your workout plan?
Well, I haven't been as much in the wintertime here. I did go yesterday. I just went 10 miles, but my buddy and I rode every day last July. He did over 1,000 miles. I did 853 miles just in the month of July. So that's been real helpful. I haven't been back in the gym because I'm just too nervous about that, but I plan on doing that. And the bike riding's been a lot of fun. It's something that kind of keeps me going. And I've started going to practices, because I'm considered media and staff, that I get to go to practices. There's nobody around. Typically, I'm in there all by myself. And so that's helped me stay connected. But just like you, I haven't really had a chance to get to know the new players. You still can talk to the older players because you're connected on social media, but it'd be nice to do some stories on some of these new players, because I think there's some really good stories with this team.
Yeah, and I don't know if you happen to catch my my Red, White, and You podcast this past weekend with Cam Kiley, but it was really neat catching up with him. This is a guy I really knew not much about other than just his stats, but you can't get the lifestyle and the what he grew up, what environment he grew up in, and why he chose hockey, and all about his family. And those are the things I think, especially with a lot of our new guys, that we try to catch them and just talk to them about life in general. And I thought that I had a lot of people that reached out to me about the Cam Kiley one, saying, hey, thanks for doing that. There's a guy that we don't know much about, but know a little bit more about him now after the Red, White, and You.
Yeah, no, I agree. The more we can do, and for me, who I'm trying to get 1,000 words of content out every single day, to not have that piece of it has been kind of tough. And I know you offered to set up Zoom calls with the media, using your technology. I guess I'm just too old to have jumped into that, but I keep telling myself one of these years I'm going to switch to more video, because it certainly is quicker than sitting down and interviewing a guy for an hour and then writing a story that takes many hours. So maybe next year I'll get more into the technology and start doing more video stuff than all this written stuff.
Well, I will tell you this, and I don't want to blow it for him, but Dyson's been working hard on writing blogs, and in this week, for the first time, he's going to do a video blog with a former teammate. I'll let Dyson tell everybody who that is when he introduces that blog, but we'll record that this afternoon as we record this on a Tuesday around the ECHL segment with a longtime blogger, Barry Janssen, and you can find his fine work online, especially on Twitter. That's where I see most of Barry's work. And of course, we mentioned he's got his ECHL stats page, which is done really, really well. I guess I got to ask you, where do you find these stats, or where do you go to look for these obscure, not just the 5-game point streak, or so and so's got goals in three straight games. But where do you go to find the real obscure stats that you come up with?
All over the place. I mean, it's amazing if you just go on Twitter there, and I follow several pages that do stats for the other leagues and even other sports. And that will trigger something that, oh, I wonder what ours would be like that. And then elite prospects, you can go back and pull a lot of stats. And of course, the ECHL website. So I'm actually going all over the place, and I'm just trying to think about which ones, what fans are most interested in. And it's not intuitive. I mean, I put them up every day, and I'll put something up and think, oh, now that'll have a lot of interest, and it doesn't. And then I'll put some, like the one yesterday, I just put the top 5 guys save percentage this year. And God, it just got all kinds of play. For some reason, players respond to that. You get a lot of players respond, and a lot of the teams will retweet that. And the interesting thing on that one, maybe you didn't see it, but the top 5 guys in save percentage in the ECHL right now, 4 of them played for the Allen Americans. So you got Hildebrand's number 1, Patterson's number 2, Evan Weiniger's number 3, and Sawchenko still qualifies. He's number 4 because 420 minutes is the minimum to be on the charts right now. So I thought that was interesting that the 4 of the top 5 goalies in save percentage right now had ties to Allen.
What else is amazing too, Barry, when you stop and think about it? This team has 15 wins this year, and 4 different goalies have been making starts throughout the season. Obviously Mott and Sawchenko early in the year, and now of recent times, Patterson, who I think has been playing some of his best hockey of his career as well. So you look at that, you have 4 different goalies that have started games for Allen this year, yet we're still, winning. And Marty had to go out and find these 2 players, after basically, Sawchenko gets, which we expected him to get recalled by San Jose, and CJ Mott, if he continued to play well, he was going to get a look. But is that one of the amazing stats that you look at with Marty? What he's able to do is find 2 goalies, command, and yet you still keep winning.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was surprising. He actually got lucky with Cable Master because I don't think he was expected to be released by Kansas City, and I think I don't know what's going to happen with Patterson, but I know he's not going to be available this weekend. So Cable Master's been really good. And for a rookie, I think he's going to get better and better and better.
Have you had a chance to watch much of the Eastern Conference this year?
No, not a whole lot. I tend to want to watch the games where ex-Americans were on. So I was watching Greenville earlier when Brian Moore was there and Jack Sadek was there, but Moore got traded and Sadek is in Ontario. So I haven't watched as much recently. I do tend to look at Florida a little bit because they seem to be so good. They were outstanding at the beginning of the season, and then they lost those 5 guys up to the AHL. And now they're the best team in the league again. They're like 8-1, 0-1 in their last 10. And so that whole conference, it looks like it's just going to come down to those 2 teams, and everybody else is scrapping for the last 2 playoff spots.
I'm going to throw this out there because I know you already know. You're just one of those guys. Any of those little neat stats or maybe like a name of a team. So I'll throw this one out at you right now. Do you know what a swamp rabbit is?
I do. It's in my blog this morning.
There you go. So I haven't had a chance to read.
I put it in the blog this morning. It's my Did You Know? And I also included an article that was in the Greenville paper about it. So yeah, most people don't realize it's tied to the railway.
Yep. And of course, if you're wondering if the definition, according to the National Wildlife Federation, A swamp rabbit is the largest member of the cottontail family, although it's larger in overall size than other cottontails. It has smaller and rounder ears, and of course, coarser fur with more of a yellow cast. The definition, if you go at least to the National Wildlife Federation, they tell you what a swamp rabbit is. Barry Janssen here joining us. A couple more questions. You know, I know you follow Europe a lot, and guys going back and forth. Has there been more interaction lately, more transactions lately with guys going, to Europe? Because I've seen more lately just bailing from our league and going across the pond.
Yeah, there have been. I think they're getting close to the cutoffs of when they can bring players in. So I think there have been more recently. There was kind of a lull. I was writing about a couple of them. This one, really, I wrote in the blog yesterday because this slays me that Jack Combs and Colton Yellowhorn and Judd Blackwater are teammates on a team in Hungary. And they've all scored. Well, Combs came later, so he has the fewest points, but the highest points per game. I mean, they're way over, I think, 1.5 points a game. Their team is actually in third place, but only 1 point or two out of first. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do something in the playoffs. But those guys are doing well.
Yeah, and what the funny thing about them is you watch all three of those guys, great offensive players, but none of the three would be categorized as great two-way players. They're definitely known for their offensive game. Colton Yellowhorn still has one of the best goals I've ever called, and I think you remember that. It was on St. Patrick's Day in the green jersey, and he went forehand to backhand and just undressed the goaltender. You can probably still find that one somewhere. Judd Blackwater, at least for Allen fame, will always be known for his down goes Jorgensen in one punch you're done. In Jack Combs, part of that dynamic duo with Chad Costello, arguably the greatest duo we've ever had here in Allen. Some might say Graham and Musatelli, who were pretty good that first year as well here in Allen, but just an unbelievable combination. Last but not least, okay, so during your off time, and we touched on this earlier, how much weight did you actually lose during your entire workout plan?
55 pounds.
Wow.
But I put about 8 back. So I want to.
You look good. And I'm telling you this, sometimes when you go through that weight loss and you go too much to the extreme and you get too skinny. And when I saw you during the summer, you were kind enough to bring me some golf balls, which believe it or not, I have not lost all those golf balls just yet. So I still have some in my trunk for when I go hit the golf ball around. But I thought, man, you look too skinny. And now as I look at you filled out again and you look good, just keep going at it, man. That's something to be proud of. 55 pounds is an amazing, amazing number.
Well, and you've done well as well. So, it's amazing because a lot of people have gained weight during, all of this lockdown, but just worked the opposite for me. I'm eating better too. I'm eating a lot healthier diet than I did before. So hopefully you don't bring back those media meals because they never were good.
No, yeah,
I mean, good. They were good tasting, and I always overindulged, but they weren't the healthiest of meals typically.
Well, the good news is they're not coming back this year anyway, for sure. Next year to be determined. But thanks again for doing this. I know you're excited to be coming back to the rink, and March 3rd, I guess, is the next opportunity to see Barry at the rink. Will you be in your seats?
I will.
All right. Around the ECHL, be sure to check out his blog today. Give a plug one more time. I'm sure all of our hardcore fans know where to find it, but just by chance somebody new, maybe one of the players' families tuning in and have not come across your blog, how do they find you?
The easiest way is just Allen American's blog. So if you put it in Twitter, you can find it there. You can put it in Facebook, find it there. If you just Google Allen American's blog, it'll come up.
Good stuff,
it's Barry. There every day.
Good stuff. Congratulations again on the unbelievable weight loss. I'm sure Nancy's happy to get you out of the house and back to the rink where she can have some peace and quiet around the Janssen household. But Barry, thanks again for doing this, buddy. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks.
This is Around the ECHL with Americans blogger, Barry Janssen.